Tsuna is late and does not eat breakfast. As he walks away, Nana Sawada discusses the new transfer students who moved to Namimori to avoid any further earthquakes in their area, as one had just occurred. Tsuna rushes to school and sees the group of transfer students, which makes him feel guilty for causing the earthquake. However, as the girl stares at him, his guilt quickly turns to fear. To Tsuna's surprise, Reborn appears next to him and informs him about Vongola's inheritance ceremony, where Tsuna will be officially named as the 10th boss. As Tsuna and Reborn continue their walk to school, a dead bird falls behind them. Tsuna arrives at school and is greeted by Gokudera, Yamamoto, Kyoko, and Hana. The four are ecstatic about the new transfer students. The bell rings, and the teacher begins to introduce 2 of the 7 transfer students who will be joining their class. Shit P. When she arrives, everyone is perplexed by her appearance and mannerisms, none more so than Gokudera, who believes she is a UMA, or unidentified mysterious animal. The next transfer student is Enma Kozato, a quiet and gloomy boy who reminds Tsuna of himself. Meanwhile, in the school's reception room, a girl transfer student named Adelheid Suzuki informs Hibari that the room belongs to the liquidation committee and that if he resists, she will act accordingly. Later that day, Tsuna and Reborn are walking home when they see Enma Kozato being beaten up by 2 men. Reborn throws Tsuna into the fight but fails to fire the dying will bullet, causing Tsuna and Enma to be beaten. Tsuna tries to assist Enma with his scattered textbooks as the 2 recover, but Tsuna's Vongola ring appears to affect Enma's ring. When Enma notices this, he immediately departs, leaving Reborn with the impression that he was no ordinary transfer student. Tsuna is forced by Reborn to deliver the textbook that Enma forgot. Meanwhile, despite his teammates' disapproval, Yamamoto gladly accepts another transfer student named Kaoru Mizuno into the club. Ryohei is also taking extra boxing lessons with another transfer student named Kuyu Aoba. The 2 argue over trivial matters, leading the other students to mistake them for kindergarteners. Reborn looks out the window and notices 7 transfer students and 7 guardians who appear to be interested in the same thing. Reborn decides to look into it. In another scene, a transfer student named Julie Kato emerges from a store and spots Chrome Dokuro. Meanwhile, Hibari and Adelheid Suzuki are discussing the replacement of the disciplinary committee with the liquidation committee. When Hibari inquires whether they have obtained the approval of the other committee heads, Adelheid demonstrates that she obtained it through coercion, and Hibari smiles. Tsuna finally gets to meet Enma. Enma slips and drags Tsuna with him as Tsuna returns his textbook, and the 2 fall into the river. Tsuna brings Enma to his house, where Nana Sawada greets them warmly. Enma warns Tsuna not to hang out with him because he is afraid he will be bullied as well. Tsuna, on the other hand, sees the old him in Enma and tries to cheer him up by saying that he, too, is hopeless, to which Enma laughs. Meanwhile, Reborn discovers something about Simon in an attic. Tsuna runs across Enma on his way to school, and the 2 walk together. Tsuna asks if their hands can contact because she recalls the experience with the Vongola ring the day before. But nothing occurs, and Gokudera appears, mistakenly scaring Enma away before Tsuna can introduce them. Gokudera exposes his shit peas hypothesis. He is very certain that she is an alien. Suddenly, Shit P shows and Gokudera follows her to examine when she passes by on an unusual vehicle. When Tsuna arrives at school, he notices a crowd, Hibari and Adelheid Suzuki prepared to fight on the roof. Tsuna and Enma go to the roof to stop them fighting. He is surprised to see that most of his guardians and other Simon students have gathered to watch the fight. The combat then begins, with Adelheid attacking with a pair of metal fans, but Hibari is able to escape her assaults. Hibari is startled to witness Adelheid employ flames and resolves to take it seriously. Tsuna begins to panic until Reborn appears and kicks him into the fight just as the 2 are about to exchange blows. Reborn urges Tsuna to stop fighting because the transfer students are guests of the Simon Familia, invited to the inheritance ceremony. With Hibari and Adelheide's combat over, Reborn begins revealing to everyone that the transfer students are actually members of the Simon Familia, a mafia familia that has had relations with the Vongola since the Vongola's inception. Reborn goes on to describe that the Simon Familia has grown smaller and weaker through time, to the point where they are no longer well known. Adelheid tells that they moved to Namimori due to earthquakes at their previous residence and also because it is where the inheritance ceremony will take place. Gokudera and the others become perplexed, and Reborn explains that Tsuna will be given the title of 10th. This brings Gokudera to tears, but Ryohei seems perplexed, believing Tsuna won the title when he defeated xanxus. According to Reborn, the ceremony will make it official, as well as allow the other Vongola family heads around the world to see the face of their new boss, as well as let other families know who the next boss is, which will allow Tsuna to rule the underworld society. The rest of the day goes by without incident. As he travels home, Tsuna attempts to think of a method to avoid becoming a mafia boss, when Enma approaches, recommending that he flee away, stating he's thought about it as well. Reborn appears and smacks them both, stating that he would not forgive them if they flee. He goes on to describe the Ninth's goals, saying that he was glad to learn that the Simon Familia had transferred to Namimori and hopes that the Vongola Familia will befriend and defend them. As Reborn declares that some familias will attempt to ruin the ritual, the group is stopped by the appearance of an assassin, whose strike would have killed Tsuna and Enma if Reborn hadn't pushed them away. As Reborn and Enma look on, the assassin multiplies himself by utilizing cloud flames and continues to attack Tsuna. Tsuna then enters hyper-dying will mode and begins fighting the new enemy. Tsuna easily beats the assassin, and Reborn notices that he is from the Pesca familia, which employs a modified version of the dying will bullet. Enma hails Tsuna on his strength and pets nuts, while Reborn examines him and senses something unusual about him. The next day, Reborn informs Gokudera of what transpired, prompting him to flip. He quickly departs to assemble the other guardians and the Simon family, much to Reborn's delight. He meets with Enma and convinces him to arrange a meeting of his guardians. When not everyone is present at the restaurant, Gokudera becomes enraged, but calms down when he learns that Shit-P meditates. Gokudera then suggests that they organize squads to protect Tsuna from additional assassins. Kuyu refuses to participate and starts fighting Ryohei again, but Adelheid Suzuki stops him and asks for more time to make a decision. Gokudera agrees just as Reborn arrives and urges them to participate, reasoning that if they work together closely, he will be able to learn more about them. When the Simon returns to their base, he offers to assist the Vongola. The group then discusses the care of an artifact, and Enma shows him the weird object that is supposed to be proof that he inherited the title of Simon family's head.